Welcome back once again to a late night lockup procedure and a Dave's diary entry and workshop series video. Hang on, just see what time. It's 10:30 on a Sunday night. What am I doing going out tonight? Out to the workshop. Well, as I said, it's the lockup procedure. Quite fastidious about that sort of thing. Oh, I've still got the radio going. How long's that been going? Anyway, I've just been watching a video, Peter Parfitt, who created the path system. Let me turn that off and turn the light on. And Peter was talking about how to cut narrow strips using his system. And I thought, that man is a goldmine of information, and it's something I hadn't even considered before. And it does address the issues that comes with trying to use the track saw to cut very narrow strips off of something that's already quite narrow and narrower than the actual rail itself. Like this here, if the strip that you're trying to cut off, and in his case, he was cutting a 4.5 millimeter strip off of something that was already quite narrow. And I hadn't thought of how you could do that. And it's simple, quite simple. And he showed how to do it. And I thought, as I said, he's a goldmine of information. After all, he did develop that whole approach or system for a number of years ago, and he's been able to refine and develop, expand it himself. And as I said, that's something I hadn't even considered. Don't think I would like to try and cut that narrower a strip using what I think is a really good system of my own. So I will borrow his way of doing it. And he was actually responding to a chap, Luther or something. He was a luthier, and he needed, of course, to cut sometimes narrow strips. And the answer was actually very, very simple and quite elegant. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to remember that one. Anyway, I thought I'd come out here, do the lockup, and then have a wee bit of a light and superficial chat about the top that I'm going to be making, the MFT style of top. And as you can see, I've actually stacked up some of the systems, starting to clean it up. And I almost went down the route of using the wrong approach. It would have been fine, but I have banged on about making a metric, a 100 millimeter increment guide, and I was almost ready to start cutting and then drilling the panels with the 96 millimeter guide rails. Now I'll just reach down here. I'll have to get those handles on temporary. These here. And of course, I've been referring to these and then also the 100 mil spaced ones. But because I've already got these in the workshop, pointing camera in the right direction, good way of you seeing what I'm talking about. But because I've already got these, I was about to start drilling the hole, or thought about drilling the holes using the rails. But I go, hey, whoa, hang on. 90% of the time that I'll be using an MFT style of top, I'll be using them with the 100 millimeter spaced holes. I better not start cutting the panels out and drilling the registration holes in my top with this. I was originally going to do that and just make do with it, but I thought, no, hang on. That's short-sighted. Wouldn't it be better to do it the way I actually want to do it rather than the way I can do it with this? I would have put up with it. It would have been not a problem. But why? So I'm going to I'm going to suppose refocus or redirect my focus to go grabbing a bit of steel that I have got stuck in another shed and strip. I think it's 60 mils wide. I think it's something like that. But it's only 5 mils thick, so it's too narrow. It's too thin for my purposes. I need a 10 millimeter, pointing camera in the right direction. I need a 10 millimeter thick piece of steel to allow for the depth of the threads to be, screwed into the steel, but not stick out on the other side. Can't have that. That would be silly. So tomorrow, because tonight is like 10:30 on a Sunday night, tomorrow I might go past the local steel merchant and see whether I can grab a bit of 10 millimeter steel, possibly between 30 and 50 millimeters wide. The wider, the more rigid it is, and but 30 mil would be fine. And then I can have a go at cleaning it all up, and then etching the marks on it at my required measurements of 100 mil increments, preferably also 25 millimeter. However, there may be a workaround on that. So, which was, if I can just make an aside, I have got these. There we go. These are, in fact, hang on, I'll just go back here while I'm here and just check whether this does work. I've got these. These are the angled pieces of aluminium that you can clamp to align your boxes. No, they're not. They're close to, but not quite of the tolerance that I want. I was hoping that they were 8 millimeters. Oh, crikey, they're not much different from 8 millimeters. What a shame. I had thought that might have worked because they are 25 millimeter spaced. Darn it. I wonder what size they are then. I haven't got my micrometer, accurate calipers out here. They're in the inside because I was making a model of the T-stop gauge. So what is this? Let's have a look. Hang on. Let's have a look again. It's saying it's 8 millimeters. But I had noticed, just by sheer luck, that these were 25 millimeter spaced, and I thought, that could possibly work in concert with the 100 mil spaced rail, and I can get my 25 millimeter increments thereof. It looks like I'm going to have to make a separate spacer guide thingy because it's not a lot, but in the engineering world, that's a huge amount of discrepancy. Oh, what a shame. It was just as I was talking, I thought that might be an idea. Let's have a look at another. I've got this. What has this one got? It's probably made by the same company. That's there. Wow. That is actually finer tolerance. I think it's actually finer tolerance than the actual bushes that I'll be using. That is really, really smooth. Okay, before I get all excited and carried away with this, what is the spacings? Doesn't matter how fine the bore is. What is the spacing? 20 millimeters, not 25. No, that would work for me. Hang on. No. Darn. It's not. Darn it. Now, what are these? Let's just have a look. Yeah, these are 20. These aren't. This is probably made... Well, sorry. I'm not pointing the camera in the right. The production value of this video is not great. Pointing the camera... This is one of the issues with the gimbal type camera. As you tilt it, sometimes the gimbal of the camera tilts up. Anyway, this was probably... Let's just have a look. No, I thought it might have been an imperial milling, but then they've just etched it with the metric measurements. What a shame. That tolerance is just... That's the best I've actually seen, bar none. Oh, God, that is so... Isn't it strange how we get excited about small things? What a shame. I had anticipated that if I'd then created the overall guide with the 100mm spacings, I could use something like this to locate my pin, or locate it with the pins, and then I could mark the other ones as well. I'm a little bit excited and a little bit disappointed at the same time. Man, that's almost an interference fit. It's got me thinking. Not always a good thing. I'm on a bit of a, how would you call it, a bit of a, not a high, but a bit of a positive thing, because I've just had a long chat with my good friend who lives in Nelson. We had a long video type chat, and I'm just 20 millimeter spacing's not what I want. I need 25. That would work. Not what I want. That, not the right spacings, but the tolerance is very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, so, and you've probably got lost on where I was going with that. I got distracted, so I apologize for that. I need to make the rail equivalent of this with the 100mm spacings so that I can set up my bench with that measurement. I'd been making reference to the center spine, or what do you call it, backbone of the approach that I want to use. Regardless of whether it is 100mm spaced bench dog holes or 96mm, I want to make that backbone one measurement, and that is 100mm. That means I can use that center line, the backbone or the spine of the whole top, for all of those different panels. And it may well be that I have panels that aren't 96mm and aren't necessarily 100, but the spine measurements will, because that's what's going in here. There's no sense starting with a compromise for the majority of other panels. Yes, I do have those, and I can use them right now. Almost want to do that until I realise, no, but that's not the measurement that I'll be using for the majority of my jigs. So, whoa, just hold your horses. Let's just take the time to make the necessary, or have the effort to make the rail of the type that I want. So, I think will forego using the steel that I've got, and go down to the merchants, buy a length of steel of the 10mm thickness variety, bring it back, clean it up, and then try my effort of etching accurately the measurements, utilising the diamond tipped etching tool. Oops, there we go. Supposedly, and as I mentioned in another video, it will give very sharp, thin etched lines because it's got a diamond tip to it. Now apparently it does it very, very well because it said so on the plastic bag that these came in. There's actually the thing's actually got a bit of heft to it. It's nicely knurled. It's not an unattractive little tool, not expensive. And if it does indeed give that very fine etched line using squares and like gauges and what have you, that could be a good thing to have. What would be even better, and I'm just thinking of this now, is I modified my marking gauge. If we can just come up here and I'll reach for it. I modified my marking gauge, bringing it up into shot, David, some time ago to not simply be used with the small pin, but to rotate it around 90 degrees for a pencil. Makes sense, doesn't it? And I then can, pointing camera and the gimbal, let's just try and realign, there we go. I can use the pencil to mark a accurate line. What if that can be mounted? That can be mounted. This is the problem with this gimbal. Hang on, let's realign it again. Not at me, no. Lucky I've had a shave. Let's go round the other way. Good boy. If this can be mounted in to replace the pencil. Hang on, while we're here, I'm going to put you down. So just stay watching there. I need two hands for this. If I can pull the pencil out, because that's how I have to do that for the... Oh, that is very, very close. If I can mount this slightly more rigidly, because it's wobbling a bit, if I can mount that, I can then use the diamond tip to etch my steel. What say I make the hole on this end of the gauge neat enough so that this is a friction fit in the hole. That might work. The trouble being is that I need the tip not too far, not too exposed from here. Thinking. The gauge, as it's built, has got a little bit more extra depth this way. Maybe, just maybe, I can drill it through. Yeah, it's marginal. It's a shame that the taper on the pen is so long, so it means it's difficult getting that to not stick too far out and then miss the gauge. I wonder how we get round that. You say make another gauge, because it would be nice to have this and this used in combination, and then we could get the nice scribed marks. Oh, that's an idea. It was simply an idea. If I put the pencil in like that, I can, well, there's enough friction in that, and you're getting what I mean, don't you? Jeez, do I have to explain everything? Well, I do to myself, but it would be nice to have this and this working together. Just now you've got me thinking. How can I make a little bit more meat on this side? And it'll be down here. I need to. Thinking. If I make another one of these, they're flat on one side and curved on the other. It would be a bit of an ask for me, at least, to make that shape accurately enough. Slurring my words. But I'd need a little bit more depth of timber at this point to slot or slide the this tip into this way. I wonder whether you can get a diamond tip gauge instead of the sharp pin. This is years and years old. I don't think it was my one that I had in my apprenticeship, because I think I busted the plastic and nut off there. Is this the one and I've glued it back together again? Anyway, I do go on. It is Sunday night after all. What do you expect from me on a Sunday night? Anyway, put this back up here. I thought that was a good modification, actually, because occasionally you don't want to actually mark or etch your timber, but you do want to mark it with a pencil line. Dear. Rightio, put this away. God, I was so excited about. I'm going to have another go at measuring it. No, it's something like 23 millimeters, which is rather an odd. Yeah, that is actually an odd measurement, thinking about it. Bear with me. Like I'll point you in the right direction. You can have a look as well. I'm not trying to be secretive. So if that's roughly the centre line on the 100 mark, we come down here and it is. No, that's 100. That's 45. 45 to the centre. It's 22 and a half. 22 and a half? Why would you make something 22 and a half? 25.4? That would be the imperial version, but odd. I wonder whether I've got any of my other gauges. Bear with me. Come on, it's Sunday night. What else are you doing? Well, what am I doing? Put these things at least back roughly in the same position. I'm wondering whether there's any other of the tools that have the increments of 25 millimeter. What's that? That's a pressure roller? No, I was looking for that the other day. Yeah, looking for that the other day. That doesn't really want to go there. That wants to come over into the precision item drawer. Other drill pieces. What are these spaced at? Walk with me. It would be nice to have something like this with regularly spaced holes that we could make use of. Nope, not going to work for me. Oh well, that was an idea. Now I can put it to bed. Don't have to think about it. No, there's nothing else like that, I don't think, that I've got in my selection. I've got literally a selection of items that were hopefully going to aid me in drilling the different holes in different situations. And I thought I had to exhaust the options before I started committing myself to having to make them myself. Thing is, I have to make them myself or get them made. Rightio. Long story short, time for me to head inside for the final time and lock everything up. have to make that rail with the 100mm spacings, and it's got to work well, otherwise it's got to work perfectly, otherwise it's not worth doing. Then I'd have to then bite the bullet of going down and getting a laser cutting company to do the rail, which itself is not a problem. It's just that that's just something else I have to do. In that case, it has to be what I'm trialing has to be done quickly to either confirm my capabilities or to refute them, which means go to the laser cutting company. Rightio, that's it. I've waffled on way too long for a late night video, but there you go. That's where we're at. Almost started drilling with the 96mm because I decided some time ago that, yeah, that's okay. I can work with it. But now that I'm deciding to go a little bit more extensively down the road of getting this approach or system up and running, let's just hold off using the 96mm. There'll be time enough for that. And there's no current critical issue about having to have the MFT top, because I will be using some of this for the MFT top, and some of it will be for the MITR station. Some panels have already started to be cut for that, or they'll be cut out of that. And I'm thinking with the MITR station, oh geez, this video is taking longer, isn't it? Oh well, that I will make the I saw another maker's video and I thought, oh, that kind of expands what I was thinking and is possibly a little bit better in that it does away with the issue that I've got. Anyway, I will make a center cabinet the width that this saw has. It's around about 700 wide, which means if I make a cabinet on this side and a cabinet on that side of 600, that gives me an overall length of 1900, 1.9 meters, which this currently is. One cabinet here, or one row here of drawers, one row here and one row here. It reduces the number of drawers, but makes them a little bit wider. If I don't do that and I decrease the width and increase the number, I do that for what purpose? To fit these little containers? Well, no. It was what I did over this side. These are the containers, the width, but it makes the drawers nice, but a little bit narrow. By reducing the number of rows, columns, whatever you want to call them, I also reduce the number of drawer slides. Oh, a saving. It's which is not insignificant. And that was another thing. God, as I said, this is video. I started looking at the pricing of the drawer slides, and in New Zealand dollars, they are like good quality ones. The ones I'm using are $25 each, and I was thinking, whoa, they soon mount up in dollar figures, and maybe I don't want to do that. But when I started looking at what people are paying overseas in their dollars, it was about the same price, and I'm thinking, wow, by the time you take the exchange rate and any freight or anything, I couldn't buy them overseas and bring them into the country cheaper than what I'm buying it for already. So if in America you're paying $15 to $25 for a good slide, just an ordinary slider, not a soft close or anything necessarily, then by the time it comes, you do the exchange rate, that is actually more expensive than the ones I'm using here. So maybe I'm out of touch. Yeah, probably. But I'm out of touch with the pricing, and that the sacrifice of a few dollars, mine, but the sacrifice of a few dollars for the drawer slides is something we need to do, I wind up with not having a compromise for the draw slides, and I wind up with a better system, better, I touched on that the other day too. If we try to economize, for the price, which is not insignificant, but if we try to economize, there may well be a future video with me bleating on about, I wished I hadn't have economized so much. And I'm thinking, well, if I've got the fewer but wider draws, I'm saving having to buy all those additional draw slides. And it might as well be that feel the pain once by paying for the slides, put them in, use them, appreciate their capability, and then appreciate the value of that, spending that money wisely at the get-go. God. Interesting. Okay, that's it. I heard someone yell at me, stop the video now and go inside. I'm going to listen to that voice, even if it was inside my head. Rightio, that's it. I'll see you in the next video now. Okay, bye.